Hey family, I am the Lord Eric Steele, aka Big Rossi Love, and we are here with another episode of FBA All Day, the show about justice and understanding for our people. And today, family, we're going to shine our spotlight on the fabulous Lumbee, the tribe in North Carolina. This mixed tribe of mulatto, red Indian, and African American slaves, they were a tremendous force at some point after years and years of accumulating. And I say 1930 or so, in the area of Robeson County, North Carolina, the city Maxton, which is very intertwined into my family on my mother's side, the Williams and the Steeles, have very deep roots in Maxton, North Carolina. That area was heavily in the early 1900s, 1940s, 1950s. It was heavily influenced by three different influences we had there. We had a large population of white. We had a large population of black and also Indian. And I do mean the black Indians and the red Indians, okay? Both indigenous to this land. So, spotlight on Maxton. We're going to bring some history that a lot of people are not aware of, some history that's been hidden. But of course, you know me. I'm going to bring you that knowledge. What we had in this time when they were trying to, the United States government was trying to force integration. They were trying to get rid of segregation and try to get the people to mix more. Maxton was kind of on the forefront of that. Maxton had a large population of intermingling couples. Blacks and Indians, it was very common for the black Indians and the red Indians to mix. That was very common. It was very common for the runaway slaves to mix with the Indians as well. The Europeans, occasionally you'd find one of the Indian girls, and sometimes that Indian girl could be black or red, would take to or take kind with a white male. It was frowned upon, but it happened a lot. That big case they had in Virginia with the Loving case, which made it legal for whites and blacks to marry, was based off of a case where the couple name was Loving, last name of Loving, which is where they allowed black people and white people to marry. That was another huge thing that kind of had force back in those days. Um, with this topic with Maxton, what I want to cover is something that a lot of people don't know about. We hear often about the towns that were the towns that were run or had forcible inclinations with black people being in charge. Towns like Rosewood, obviously, Black Wall Street. We had a lot of these in North Carolina as well. The period in time that I'm going to focus on for today's episode is going to be the 1958 riots in Maxton. There was a riot in 1958 in Maxton, North Carolina. What happened was there was a case where a white woman was divorcing her husband. She was divorcing her husband for an Indian. Um, and during the trial, when they were going through the divorce, the judge said, being on the recording, he said he couldn't imagine why a woman would want to leave a white man for an Indian. Okay? Now, I said this is about segregation, and as you can imagine, the force against segregation would have been the Klan. Okay? The Klan, or the Knights, the Christian Knights, or whatever they want to call themselves, they were informed of what this judge had said. The judge had said he didn't see why a white woman would want to leave a white man for an Indian man. Once the Klan heard of this, they had tried to scare or intimidate the family. They planted a burning cross in the front yard. There was an Indian family that had moved into an all white neighborhood, if I'm not mistaken. There was a cross burned in their yard as well, so it was a little tension brewing. And then there was this guy named James Catfish Cole, who was the Grand Wizard of one of those chapters, I believe. Yes, he was the Grand Wizard. He decided they were going to hold a rally in Maxton. Okay, Mr. Big and Bad Catfish Cole decided he was going to gather his people together. Now, here's an interesting tidbit. Mr. Cole lived in South Carolina. Okay, he lived in South Carolina, but he wanted to hold his rally. He wanted all his people to meet him in Maxton, which is in North Carolina. Okay, interesting tidbit. So, the word got out that the Klan were planning on having a rally in Maxton. They were planning on bringing their people up to have a rally in Maxton. And this did not go over well with our people. They were not having it, all right? So he got wind that they were going to have, he got wind of what the judge had said and decided to have all his people meet him in Maxton. Now, the sheriff in Maxton was a guy who was real, I'd say, liberal. He was for integration. He tried to go and talk to Mr. Cole and tell him, this could be bad. If you show up in Maxton, this is going to be bad. The people in Maxton, they don't play like that. You always hear stories about our people being subservient and bowing down and always taking a back. All of us are not like that. That's why I always tell people when I'm talking to them, I never say all of one group is one way, because that's not intelligent. Okay, you can't say all of one group is a certain way, because there are groups that are capable of many different things. Okay, every group has a group of intelligent people. Every group has a gathering of derelicts. Every group has some people who can be manipulated. Every group has that. Every group of people on the planet has a good, a good side. Every group of people has their bad sides as well. Even though they like to shine the spotlight on our downtrodden, we have some very educated people. We have some very intelligent people. We have some very skillful people. Maxton was full of these, okay? The war was over. World War II was over, and a lot of our men went and fought in that war. Now, when you come back from war, you just don't lose all of your military training. That's not intelligent. It's not intelligent to think that. So these guys had training. They were in Maxton, and they were no joke, okay? They weren't having that. Just putting it plain as I can. They weren't having it. So, sheriff had went down there to let him know this wasn't going to be a good idea. He don't believe that butter, you know what I'm saying, is fattening. He didn't believe it. He didn't believe that greasy bacon and can pop you. He didn't believe it. Okay, so he got his people together and they were going to meet up in Maxton. Now, here's another tidbit that a lot of people don't know about that riot as well. The governor of North Carolina also heard about it. When the governor heard about it, the governor petitioned or ordered some of his state patrolmen to meet there as well. He sent some state patrolmen there too, okay? So I'm setting a scene for you. So we got the Klanmen trying to gather and come to Maxton. We have the local police force ready to do what they have to do. And we had the state patrolmen there as well, okay? They thought it was going to be a little thing. They were prepared to do what they had to do to have their little rally, okay? Now, what they didn't know, what they were not aware of, is that the black Indians and the Lumbee, the black Indians, the Lumbees, the black Africans, that black African Americans, whatever you want to call them at that time, they were a unit. So when nighttime came, there was close to 3,000 of them waiting there. They were waiting on them Klanmen to show their butt up there. Think it's a game? So there was a light. They had one light in this field. They were going to meet in Maxton by Maxton Pond, I think it was called Maxton Pond, Haynes Field, close by the swamp. So when the Klan showed up, it was one light out there. Now all the Lumbees, all the black Indians, they had weapons. They weren't just gonna throw rocks. These fellas showed up with weapons in hand. They were ready to take care of business. Okay? The Klan showed up. The light somehow got shot out. And I believe this is why we didn't have a massive amount of death. Okay? The Klan showed up. Somebody said something to, I believe it was one of the local policemen, asked them to disperse, asked them to leave. And all heck broke loose. They ran up on the Klan in the cars. The cars had drove into the field, and they were beating them up. They were beating up the Klansmen. They were yanking them out the cars, and then somebody shot the light out. Excuse me. When they shot the light out, this is what kept them from opening fire because they couldn't see who they were shooting at. This is the only reason I believe that there wasn't a huge death that day. There were people being beaten up. There were people dragged down the street. They were laying into the Klan members. They got in them cars. They turned around. They was getting up out of there. Now, remember that this time in 1958, Jim Crow was still in full effect. Okay? So as the Klans were trying to leave, the police were trying to let them out. So the police going to come in and try to grab hold to the Indians and the black people to keep them from chasing the Klanmen down the street. But the Klan members were in such a rush. Your boy James Catfish Cole, he was in such a rush, he dropped his flag. His Ku Klux Klan banner that they wave around, he dropped that jive. He dropped his banner. When it was all said and done, they had all kind of Klan memorabilia that they had, all their regalia they had dropped. They dropped their hoods was left behind. Some of them lost their robes. They was beaten. People were literally beating up out their clothes. That's how they was handling them boys back in that day. So salute and shout out to the mighty Lumbee. Shout out to the black people who joined in, represented. You ain't going to hear this story. There's a reason why they want you to take the history books out of these classes. They don't want our people to know about these stories of how we come together and make things happen. But it happened. This is not fiction. This is fact. This is what happened. January 18th, 1958. Maxton riots. Maxton, Maxton, North Carolina, my mother's birthplace. Maxton riots. Heavy with family. Maxton is a heavily, the families there are very close knit. There's a lot of family from Maxton. Okay? They weren't about it. They were about that business. They gave them that work. Okay? This is why they're trying to take history out of classes. They don't want our children to know what we are capable of when we combine. They don't want our children to know the strength that our people had. We were very strong. There's a reason why we were chosen to be slaves, why they wanted us to be slaves. It wasn't because we were weak. We are a very strong people, very capable people. Okay? So I wanted to bring you guys this gem. It's called the Maxton riots in 1958. It was a very historical day for our people. We fought the Klan back, and it was so horrible for the Klan members when they had I think there was a Time magazine cover of the Indians wrapped in that Klan banner. It was such a bad look for the Klansmen that James Catfish Cole, he actually dispersed his group. He didn't even want to be a Klansman no more. That's how bad they got their tail whooped that day. Okay? Little piece of American history. Look that up if you want to. Maxton, North Carolina, 1958. The mighty Lumbee Indians, which is a combination of mulattoes, Red Indians, and African slaves, runaways. They were a mixed group. To this day, they're still a mixed tribe. If you look up Black Lumbee Indian, if you Google Black Lumbee, Lumbee Indian, you will see they look just like regular light-skinned black people. Today, a lot of our family members look just like them right now. A lot of our family members. You should see pictures of my grandmother, how red she is, and how her children all have a reddish hue to their skin tones. So I got I got that work on both sides of my family. My mother's family in the Lumbee and my father's family in the Porch Creek. So it's real deep with our people. We was here before there was a country. I've said that many, many times. We have the history to prove it. So that is what it is. But that day is a mighty day for Black History Month. I thought I'd bring y'all this special gem. Again, this is your boy, Lord Eric Steele, a.k.a. Big Rossi Love. We just want to bring this and let's spread these understanding of our people, the things we're capable of, and the things we like to see things handled in a proper way, okay? Lord Eric Steele, a.k.a. Big Rossi Love. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And once again, FBA all day.